The villagers said no creature escapes death once he called your name. Yet one harmattan morning, a strange whisper echoed through the forest. Tortoise, your time has come. Tortoise froze where he stood, his wrinkled shell trembling beneath the faint sunlight. His heart pounded like the village drum on market day, and his mind raced faster than the river current. He had just stolen roasted yam from the widow's farm when the whisper came again, cold, patient, and sure. You cannot run from me, Mbe. Your day has arrived. He turned in every direction. Only the wind moved, shaking dry palm leaves. But Tortoise knew that voice. Every creature knew it. The whisper belonged to Death himself. Yet Tortoise, known across villages as the trickster with a silver tongue, smiled faintly. If death has come for me, then death must be ready for a game, he muttered. His eyes gleamed like moonlight over wet clay. Somewhere deep inside, he knew this was not just a battle for his life, but for his legend among mortals. And so began the story that no griot forgets, the day Tortoise, son of Cunning, decided to outsmart Death himself. Before the whisper spread across the village, the elders had gathered beneath the ancient Udala tree. They spoke of strange omens, falling stars, silent rivers, and restless spirits in the wind. An old seeress, Neka, her eyes clouded like morning mist, told them, "One among you will soon meet death. He walks among us already, unseen but watching." The villagers trembled. They whispered prayers and poured libations, begging the ancestors to turn death's eyes away from their doors. But fate, like fire, never listens to the timid. Meanwhile, Tortoise was already scheming. He had heard of death's patience, how he waited behind smiles, how even kings bowed when their names were called. But Tortoise believed he was different. He had once deceived leopard, tricked the sky gods, and even borrowed wisdom from the river spirits. Death, he thought, was just another challenge. So he packed his raffia bag with kola nuts, a calabash of palm wine, and the sacred horn he stole from the drummer of the gods. His plan had already begun. That night, while the moon carved silver paths across the sky, Tortoise whispered, "Let death come, I will greet him with laughter." And the forest seemed to laugh back. When dawn painted the forest gold, Tortoise began his journey to Unkume Hills, a place where spirits whispered secrets to the wind and shadows spoke the language of fate. He moved slowly, his shell glistening with dew. Each step stirred dry leaves, and the air thickened with something unspoken, like a drumbeat waiting for the right rhythm. Birds flew overhead, watching him curiously, for they too had heard the whisper. "Why does he walk toward the hills?" they sang. "Does he not know death waits there?" Tortoise chuckled. "If death waits on the hill, then I shall climb with stories so sweet that even death will forget his purpose." By noon, he reached the foot of the hill, where a river coiled like a sleeping serpent. Its water reflected the sky, vast and endless, much like the thoughts in Tortoise's mind. He sat by the river bank, cracked kola nuts, and said softly, "A clever man digs his grave with laughter, not sorrow." But the river only rippled as though disagreeing. Somewhere in the shadows, Death was listening, smiling faintly, amused by the little creature's audacity. For few had dared to invite him and lived to boast. As Tortoise sipped palm wine, a woman's reflection appeared on the water. She was beautiful, wearing white cloth and beads that shimmered like broken sunlight. "Tortoise," she said, her voice gentle as rainfall, "why do you sit alone when death seeks you?" Her eyes seemed ancient, older than stories themselves. Tortoise tilted his head. "If death seeks me, let him come. But tell me, spirit or woman, who are you to warn me?" The woman smiled, sadness flickering in her gaze. "I am the river's daughter, keeper of secrets and tears. I have seen men bargain with death, none succeed." He laughed softly. "Then you have not seen me, daughter of water. I am the shell of wisdom, the trickster who even hunger could not kill." She leaned closer, her reflection touching his. "Your pride will cost you more than life." Then she vanished, leaving ripples that glowed like moonlight trapped beneath the surface. Tortoise stared at the water, unsettled. For the first time, he felt a chill that laughter could not chase away. But pride is a heavy chain, and he carried it still. Night fell quickly, smothering the forest in shadows. Crickets sang their mournful tune, while Tortoise waited beside a dying fire. The air was thick, like silence preparing to speak. Then from the darkness, footsteps. Slow, deliberate, death emerged. Tall, faceless, cloaked in smoke. Every creature within miles felt his arrival like cooled fingers brushing their bones. "Tortoise," Death said, voice echoing like drums under the earth, "your time is ripe. The ancestors have spoken." He extended a bony hand that shimmered like moonlight on a grave. But Tortoise only smiled, bowing low with exaggerated grace. "Welcome, Great One," he said. "You honor me with your presence. Surely, before you take me, we should share palm wine." Death tilted his head. None had ever spoken to him so calmly. Curiosity flickered like fire in hollow eyes. "Palm wine," he repeated, uncertain but intrigued. "Yes," Tortoise replied, pouring the drink into 2 calabashes. "For every journey there must be hospitality. Even death deserves respect, for he too is a traveler." Death took the cup. The forest held its breath. And for the first time in eternity, Death drank. What followed would echo in every village for generations. As Death drank, his cloak loosened, and his shadow wavered slightly, like smoke disturbed by wind. Tortoise watched carefully, eyes gleaming with cunning hidden beneath humility. "This drink is strong," Death murmured, "stronger than the hearts of men." Tortoise chuckled softly. "Ah, Great One, that's the taste of the earth herself. Drink more, it deepens wisdom." Death obeyed, gulping greedily until the calabash was empty. He sighed, a sound like leaves dying. "Your drink is sweet, Embe. Tell me, what do you desire before you depart?" Tortoise bowed again. "Only a dance, Great One. Let us dance once before you take my shell. After all, even death must know the rhythm of life." Death laughed, thunder rolling through the forest. "You are bold, creature. Very well." And so they danced, Death's shadow swirling with Tortoise's stubby feet around the flickering fire. But as they moved, Tortoise muttered secret words, old and forbidden. The sacred horn he'd stolen from the drummer of the gods began to hum, trapping Death's reflection inside the calabash like a mirrored prison. When the dance ended, Death gasped. He was dizzy, weak. "What have you done?" he demanded. But Tortoise only smiled, saying, "A toast, Great One, to wisdom and life." That night, Death fell asleep for the first time in history. The forest grew silent, confused by the stillness of fate. No soul departed, no spirit was claimed. In the villages, elders rejoiced unknowingly. The sick awoke, healed without reason. Hunters returned unharmed, and children born that day cried louder, stronger, untouched by the chill of mortality. But spirits grew restless. Without death, the balance trembled. Shadows clung to trees, unable to cross. The river spirits wailed softly, their reflections flickering between joy and fear. Meanwhile, Tortoise strutted proudly through the night, laughing at his genius. "Let them sing my name," he boasted, "the one who cheated death, the immortal Mbe of Igboland." But by dawn, however, strange winds began to rise, leaves turned backward on their stems, and even the sun hesitated to climb the sky. Something ancient stirred beyond comprehension. For Death's absence had awoken an older force, something even Tortoise's cleverness could not predict. And when wisdom sleeps, Foolishness celebrates too soon. By midday, chaos swept through the land. Rivers overflowed, crops withered, and the air grew heavy with cries from the unseen. Without death, the world began to rot from within. Tortoise noticed it first when he saw vultures starving above a bloated goat that refused to decay. "Strange," he muttered. "Even the dead now mock me with their stillness." The elders gathered again under the udala tree, trembling. "Something has broken the order," Neka said. "The line between life and death is blurred. Someone has deceived the spirits." In her trance, she saw the truth. Tortoise dancing with death beside a glowing calabash. She screamed, "Find Mbe, he has stolen the world's balance." Word spread like wildfire. Hunters, warriors, and even spirits in disguise began to search for him, but Tortoise hid deep within the Nkume hills, clutching the calabash close. He whispered to himself, "They'll thank me soon. I've given them freedom." Yet, deep down, he felt unease, the kind that creeps when laughter fades and silence answers back. That night, the wind carried a familiar voice. "Mbe, you cannot cheat forever." Death had awakened, angry, humiliated, and hungrier than ever before. Death's fury spread like wildfire. Wherever Tortoise ran, the earth cracked and the sky dimmed. Even the owls refused to watch, hiding their eyes from what was coming. Tortoise fled through thorny paths, his shell scraping against roots and stones. Sweat glistened on his skin like molten glass. "Wisdom, guide me now," he whispered desperately. He crossed rivers, tricked hyenas, and hid beneath fallen trees, but Death's voice followed, echoing from every direction. "You stole what was never yours, Mbe. Return the balance." Exhausted, Tortoise stumbled upon an old shrine guarded by a silent mask carved from ebony wood. Its hollow eyes seemed alive, watching him with pity. He placed the calabash before it, panting, "Ancestors, protect me. I meant no harm. I only sought to prove that cleverness can conquer fate." Thunder rolled. The mask whispered, "Even wisdom needs humility. You cannot hold eternity in mortal hands." The voice felt heavy, like truth wrapped in sorrow. Behind him, Death appeared again, towering and calm. "Will you surrender, Mbe?" he asked. Tortoise grinned weakly. "I never surrender, Great One. But perhaps I can bargain." Death folded his arms, smoke swelling around him. "A bargain?" he asked, his voice filled with mockery. "You have trapped me, shamed me, and now you dare to negotiate?" Tortoise bowed slightly. "Forgive my mischief, Great One, but think, without you, balance would crumble. Without me, cunning would vanish. The world needs both of us to survive." Death paused, intrigued. "Continue," he said slowly. Tortoise took a deep breath. "Let me live, but let me carry a mark, a reminder that even wisdom has limits." The air trembled. Death's form shimmered, caught between anger and fascination. "You propose a strange truth, creature. What mark will you bear for defying eternity?" Tortoise tapped his shell gently. "This," he said, "will crack forever, a scar for my arrogance, a lesson for those who think they can embrace the baobab alone." Death considered, then nodded. "So be it. You shall live, but every generation will remember your deceit. Your shell will never be smooth again." Lightning flashed. The calabash shattered. Balance returned. As Death vanished, Tortoise's back split with ridges, the mark of wisdom earned through folly. When the storm ended, Tortoise emerged from the hills, limping but alive. His shell bore jagged scars that glistened like cracks of lightning frozen in clay. Villagers gasped when they saw him. "What happened, Mbe?" they asked. He smiled faintly. "I danced with death and lived, but every dance has a cost. Mine is carved on my back." They gathered around as he told his tale, mixing truth with humor. Children laughed, elders wept, and even the wind paused to listen to the cunning of the shell-bearer. Neka approached him quietly. "You defied the order and restored it. But remember, wisdom shared is wisdom strengthened. The world nearly broke because you kept it alone." Tortoise nodded humbly. Then I'll share my tale so others may know. Cleverness without humility is like yam without oil, filling but joyless. The villagers celebrated for 7 days, singing songs of Mbe, the one who tricked death yet learned humility. Even death's name was spoken with new respect. But in quiet moments, Tortoise still touched his shell, feeling the scars pulse softly, reminders that no one truly conquers fate without paying its price. Years later, when Tortoise was old and slow, he gathered the children beneath the Udala tree and told them, "Wisdom is like a baobab tree. No one individual can embrace it." They listened, wide-eyed, as he described his dance with death, the drink, the trick, and the scars that followed. His voice trembled but carried the weight of lived truth. "One day," he said, "each of you will face your own death, maybe not in shadow, but in choice. When that day comes, remember, humility is the smartest wisdom." The sun dipped behind the hills, painting the world gold. For a moment, it seemed even the wind bowed, carrying his words across the lands of men and spirits. Then Tortoise smiled faintly, his eyes soft with reflection. "I did not defeat death," he whispered. "I only delayed him long enough to learn." As night fell, the children repeated his proverb in unison, their voices rising like a prayer. Somewhere far away, death listened and smiled too. Now tell me, traveler, if you were Mbe, would you have dared to trick death? Share your answer in the comments and let the world judge your wisdom.